There are a few steps you can take now to help ease your mind or hopefully give you more peace of mind if you're worried about a recession or the economy or the markets, or really any of the many other things that you could be worried about these days. Two things are going to be financial related, and then one is sort of a hack that I learned recently, and I think it's actually changing my life for the better. And I thought, how could I hold that back? I got to share that with you as well. And by the way, I'm Dave Zoller, if I haven't met you yet, and I own a retirement planning firm for high net worth clients. And we created this channel to share what's working for them so that hopefully everyone can benefit as well. So when it comes to a recession or other financial worries or things that are out there that kind of bring a little anxiety to our mind, there's some immediate actions you can take now. Step one is to really review bucket number one. And you've probably heard of this before. Picture three buckets. Bucket number one are asset classes that historically do not get as impacted by the stock market moves, the ups and downs during tumultuous times. Once you know what you have in bucket number one, then you can find out how many years of income you have in safe assets. Example, let's just use 100K here. Keep it simple. If you had 100K and you were taking out 5K per year and you wanted to have at least 5 years worth of withdrawals in safe monies, then you might have 25K or 25% of your investment mix in the conservative investments. And that would be bucket number one. And I have a whole nother video on this if you want to get a little bit deeper into how to do this. And it's on the bucket strategy. And I'll link to that towards the end of this video. And I also have another one on details on how to take withdrawals during bad markets too. And those kind of go hand in hand. So look for those towards the end of this video. Because remember, during recessions or down periods, we want to avoid selling anything from the growth bucket or growth investments if we can. If they're down, we want to avoid doing that and use just the conservative assets if we can. Now, one more thing on this too. If you're working and retirement is, say, 5 or more years away, then you probably aren't going to be using your retirement accounts, hopefully. But it's still a good idea to have an emergency fund, and that's really crucial for any financial plan. So just do a ballpark of what your monthly expenses are, and then just make sure that you have enough to weather a storm if you were to lose your job or if pay changed some reason or something unexpected, unexpected expense came up. Having the conservative assets or cash on the side allows you to not go into debt if one of those bad scenarios happens. Now, the next thing is taking advantage of recessions or downturns versus just taking a beating by them. And here are two ways to take advantage of a downturn. Number one is having a rebalancing system set up. And that just means when there's triggers that get tripped, you get an alert and then you can rebalance, get things back into alignment if they were ever out of whack. As an example, March of 2020, during the lockdowns, it felt like the worst time to rebalance portfolios. What was happening there was the growth bucket or the growth assets were starting to shrink, right? And some of the conservative assets were either staying the same or going up a little bit, depending on what you had in there. So the triggers were switched, and then we actually moved from conservative investments back to growth to get things back aligned, if you're kind of picturing a pie. If we left it up to just our emotions or maybe clients' emotions or feelings, we would have had a much harder time implementing that rebalancing strategy. But because we followed a system, systems are kind of unemotional. I know that there's behind every financial decision, there's emotional decisions as well. But if you follow a system that's been proven to work, that's where we're able to take advantage of times like that. So what happened was not too far into the future, after doing that rebalance in March of 2020, we were actually rebalancing back because the growth assets had gone up so significantly. So having a rebalancing system and a way to take advantage of bad markets is important. And I'll include another video, either pop it up on the screen or towards the end, on how to rebalance too and ways to think about that. I'll include that. I'll put it in the link below. And one other part of this and rebalancing is if you are rebalancing, you may be able to take advantage of tax loss harvesting in your non-retirement accounts, which at a high level is like selling an investment for a loss on purpose. And the goal of that is being able to write off or offset your investment gains for the purpose of paying less tax. And you can actually sell for a loss and then also get invested so that you're not out of the market, but you get invested. There's rules around this. It can't be the same fund. It can't be even a like fund, but there's ways you can do it. So you stay invested the whole time, but you get those write-offs along the way. The next thing to think about taking advantage of bad markets is Roth conversions when things are down. And the main reason to do this is because you can essentially pay the same amount of tax that you were about 6 months ago or whenever the market was at a previous high, but get more shares into Roth versus 6 months ago. Because as values go down, you can take the same dollar amount, what you're going to pay in tax, but get more shares into the Roth. And again, there's another video I'll include. These are kind of high-level views, and then we can get deeper with some of the other videos that I'll include in the description below. Now, onto this third thing that I recently learned, and I think it really is changing just the way that I'm thinking about bad markets, and really changing the way I'm thinking about a lot of different things. And it's not exactly financial related, but you can apply this thinking process to financial related things. So I wanted to share with you. I hope that it makes sense, but you have to bear with me because you have to take my bad drawings here. So let me put it up on the screen. We're talking about, bear with me, the head, the heart, and then the hands. And here's what I mean. The main takeaway related to bad markets is when you get the bad news, something happens where you get an event or a circumstance, and first thing that happens is we think about whether it's positive or negative. And whichever one we focus on is going to really change the way the rest of the outcome, really change the outcome that happens. So when we think about something, it's either a positive or a negative, we have that belief, right? And depending what we choose to think about is going to then have us have a feeling, right? And that energy is going to be either anticipation, looking towards something that's positive, or anxiety, wanting to avoid or worry about something in the future. And we know that verse about not wasting today's energy worrying about tomorrow's problems, even things that might not even come true, like that Mark Twain quote as well, where he had a lot of bad things happen to him in his life, and some of them actually did come true, or something like that. But either way, whether you're focusing on the anticipation looking forward or the anxiety about something negative, that's going to lead to the outcome of what you do with your hands. And it's either going to lead towards something you desire, a positive action, or something you don't desire. And it really starts with that first, what we're going to think about and what we choose to think about here. As an example, we get the bad news about, or say we hear something in the news about, this was the worst start to the market for the first 6 months of the year since 1970. Something like that is what has been on the news recently. And we can focus on the negative thing, and we can get anxious because of it. And then we can make an emotional decision that's not really a great financial decision and end up really harming our long-term plan. Or we can hear the news and think, well, what good could come from this? Are market corrections normal? Has this happened before? And then what can we do about it? Am I prepared the right way? Maybe I should be paying closer attention to really my plan or my allocation. Maybe I should be getting a checkup or something like that. And then taking the action to move closer to that ideal outcome, what you're doing, planning for retirement, getting secure in your financial plan, or making adjustments to just really shore up your retirement. So I hope that was helpful for you, because it has been for me. It's just this head, the heart, and then the hands. It's think, and then whatever we feel, that causes a feeling, and that causes actions after that. So I've been running not just financial related thoughts through, but really any sort of thought that comes through, trying to run it through the head, the heart, and the hands. So hopefully that's something different and helpful for you. I'll include those videos that I mentioned to get a little bit deeper into the weeds on the financial side, either coming up on the screen soon, or I'll put them below this video so that you can get those. So hope it was helpful, and then I'll see you in the next video.